If there's one character who should have their own game finally after years and years, and for good reasons too, they haven't had a game for 20 years, plus I think it's time to bring this character back. Who could this character be exactly? Make sure to like the video if you enjoy the content, as it helps my videos reach the algorithm, and if you're new to the channel, welcome in and be sure to subscribe. So the character I'm obviously talking about is none other than Rebecca Chambers. Rebecca Chambers grew up as a child prodigy. She is an advisor for the BSAA and a former rookie member of STAR's Bravo team as a medic due to her extensive knowledge in biochemistry. Her last game with a starring role is Resident Evil 0, which was a GameCube exclusive at the time in 2002. Then obviously we got those remastered games years later. It is also the prequel to the original Resident Evil, which she also appeared in, but more of a cameo appearance, so she hasn't had a game for over 20 years, and even Ethan Winters has more games than she does, which is crazy to think about. She also has movie appearances, but I think we can all agree that we would prefer a game with her as the starring role rather than a movie. In 2021, there was a rumored third Revelations title in the form of Resident Evil Outrage, which was then cancelled afterwards. The game was allegedly going to star Rebecca Chambers and Leon Kennedy with major horror roots to the game. So I've made a video 3 months ago talking about the future of Resident Evil and how we haven't had a mainline character since Revelations 2, not counting the remakes, and obviously 7 and 8 was with Ethan. And now I want to talk about why Rebecca Chambers specifically. So Leon, Chris, Joel, and Claire had basically seen it all. They fought bioweapons, main villains, superhumans, survived parasites, viruses. They're super soldiers essentially. And I love these characters, don't get me wrong. But Rebecca is not as experienced as our mainline characters, making her the perfect candidate, and also would be a perfect opportunity for a pure horror game. If we have a character who can struggle, who is not as trained as the others, this can not only be relatable to us, but it can also create a sense of fear, apprehension, powerlessness to then development and accomplishment in the long run, which was missing in the series for so long. You can't necessarily have this feeling with characters who are heavily trained and armed, unless it's a villain who feels like a huge threat. More of a threat than our original characters. But I personally like Rebecca as a character and feel like she's part of the original lineup. I mean, hell, she's been in the Spencer Mansion with the others and escaped, making her an Arklay survivor. Would I want something for Rebecca in the future? Of course. Do we need her in a future game? 100% we do. Or at least I feel like we do. And I dare say that she does need a game as much as Jill does, just because it's been so long. But would I want something for Rebecca in the future? Of course. And what would I do personally? I think a game that would take advantage of her biochemistry knowledge would be great, like status effect changes or certain combinations that'll affect these changes. Or after downing a zombie, you have to come up with some sort of vaccination to make sure this creature doesn't turn into a more aggressive creature, kind of like the Las Plagas in Resident Evil 4 Remake and the Crimson Heads in Resident Evil 2002. I think having some sort of secondary mechanic taking advantage of her skills while starring Rebecca would be great. But honestly, she should come back in some way, shape, or form, just because it's been so freaking long. And it's pretty crazy too, because without Vendetta and without Death Island, it still would have been a huge gap since we even heard of anything about her. But Capcom, please give us more Rebecca in the future, or at the very least a Resident Evil 0 remake. Whatever it is in the future, I feel like she deserves something at least. But hopefully we'll get something of her soon. But this is a little discussion video of what you guys think. Should she come back? Would you want Rebecca Chambers to return? And if you do, what would you do in terms of gameplay or story? Let me know in the comments. As always, I want you guys to have an amazing day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. And until then, peace.